Alright, you guys, I'm back. It's Wednesday night here, and I'm continuing where we left off last time, which was this delightful, wrinkly raisin of a character that I'm trying to unraisinify, give him some interesting definition, and yeah. I'm going to reorient myself to where we left off. I think I had just put these little spiny guys in to get a sense for how they can sit in these cartilaginous grooves that I want going vertically on his body. I think the shape they're making right now is a little too vase-like. The ridges probably need to extend up a little higher to look natural to me. Maybe. I don't know. It could be some sort of cartilaginous rib cage system that's going on here. It's basically like a donut that goes around his entrails and spine and stuff. So yeah, my wife has a donut going around her entrails. That's right. Donuts do sound good. Hello, Damon, Mordecai, Aletha. Welcome, guys. Sorry if I disappointed anyone by not showing up on the weekend. Things were a little crazy for me. Went out shopping, just a variety of errands, that's the word. Yeah, and trying to do a return at the mall, and suddenly it started hailing like crazy, and then traffic became insane, and then we were trapped in the mall parking lot for at least half an hour, if not more. That was just going half a car length every couple of minutes. That was no fun. And then on top of that, I've been kind of crunching to finish a proposal for a what is that called when people hire you to do art? Apparently I'm not wording tonight, so you guys are just gonna have to fill in the blanks. It's not contract. No, it's when you hire an artist to do work for you, and as an artist I do that work, and then you pay me money for doing that work for you. It is freelancing. That's not the word that I'm looking for. I am freelancing, but what is that called? A commission? Yes! I'll go with commission. I generally don't do commissions, but this particular one is one I'm really excited about. Kind of a lifetime opportunity for me. Can't talk about it under NDA, but very exciting. So I'm very enthusiastic to do it. I'm recording it all, so I'll be able to do some sweet tutorials after the thing comes out. But anyway, yeah, very busy, doing lots of stuff. Yes, Aletha and Mordecai get to share the prize of knowing what a commission is. Mordecai says, my Saturday was blessed. Spent my time in a suit at a gala. I never know how to say that. Is it gala? Or gala? Or gala? Dodging people to get at the fancy cheese and snacks.
That's the only reason why.
Yeah,
That's the only
that doesn't sound so bad.
To dress up is to get to that cheese.
Sometimes when I'm in dense social settings, I will, like, my head goes into a game mode and I feel like I'm playing Asteroids or something and I'm dodging around everyone. Which is probably not what you should be doing in a social gathering, but that's where my mind goes. Let's see. Okay, yes, and the other bit of news I have is that I will also not be streaming this coming weekend because I'm going to be at Emerald City Comic-Con here in Seattle, signing merchandise at what is the booth? I thought it was We Love Fine. It's but I also see it called For Gamers by Gamers, but I feel like that must be their slogan, but then it's also the website, so I don't know. I'm going to be at some booth at Comic-Con signing Guild Wars 2 related merchandise. But hey, it's a good way to get a free pass and get to walk around Comic-Con. So I'm going to be there for 2 hours on Saturday and 2 hours on Sunday. Well, officially manning the booth. I'll probably hang out for, probably at least take a little trip around the show before I take off one of those days. Letha says, you need to do tutorials on sculpting a mouse mage on the back of a soul-devouring parrot. Wow. Okay. Damon says Gala. I guess it makes sense. I mean, back when gay meant happy and jovial, it would make sense to go to a gala. Not sure if I'm making this better or not. Maybe the, like, some of these curves feel a little too, I don't know what that word is. A little too something. Maybe I can just play with them like this. Soften that curve a bit. I was watching Planet Earth 2 the other day, and there's these great lizards that have this little spike. It does this. It like sticks out from their chin like that, and then when they're threatening other males around, they'll be like like, dude, and it has like a little fin underneath it that spreads out. But yeah, so this guy kind of has a variety of fun little features like that. Mostly it's his puffer fishiness. Actually, this is kind of an interesting look, I'm thinking. If he's got this vertical ribcage like this, and when he's not inflated, it's like he looks kind of emaciated, like, or, you know, like sucked in. I mean, it's probably not a look that I want for him, but it's an interesting thought, and I'm going to see what happens when I go that way. Yeah, doing a mix of kind of harder forms with soft folds draped over them. That is really challenging. I am being challenged, you guys. Letha says, I'm releasing another book this weekend. Hooray! And that sticking out fin thing looks hilarious. Oh yeah, they were actually those just gliding lizards, but the males also have this like flap under their chin for some reason. What's the name of your book and where can we get it, Letha? for the millions of fans watching right now, go ahead and let me give a shout out promo for your book. I'm gonna guess it has "Magic is" in the title. Oh, wrong tool. Okay, I need to stop dilly-dallying. Like, I do it. Getting in and fiddling with the shape of these curves is probably a bad use of time when I'm not convinced yet that those are going to be a final feature in there. I really need to figure out the interplay between the saggy skin and these folds before I go and start getting all fiddly with the folds, or with the understructure first. Let's also get rid of these arms. That is the wrong button. Come on, I can do this. I have faith in me. There we go. David says, how do you know my real name was Millions of Fans? That is a good name. Because then you can never be wrong. Another good name would be 4 out of 5 Doctors. Another good name would be the 5th Doctor. Are you such a contrarian, 5th Doctor? Alita says, Michelle asked me what you are working on, and apparently I can't word either because I said, oh, Josh is working on saggy skin. Yep, old saggy skin.
Is that an age joke? We're getting old.
We are getting old. I just got an old person's, Is it a disease?
I was going to say disease. Virus, I guess.
It's a virus.
It's a viral.
Okay. What's the difference between, like, a sickness that comes and goes, and because isn't chickenpox a disease? No.
It's a virus.
It's just an infection, maybe?
It's a viral infection.
A viral infection.
But the antibodies that you make from it are what they actually are dormant or something, and then they become active later on.
Yeah, so my old chickenpox from when I was a kid came back at age 42, and it's like, hey, it's time for a really gross sounding disease called shingles.
Hope I don't get it in my eye.
Yeah. If I get it in my eye, I'll go blind. So I'm hoping against that. And I'm also hoping it's not going into my brain, because it's crawling up the back of my neck. I definitely feel that pain. It what is it? It triggers your nerves, because it's an infection, right, of the nervous system. It just sticks on particular nerves. It's different nerves for different people. And for me, it's like starts around my right chest and then kind of curls up my shoulder, and then it goes up in the back of my neck into the back of my head, and so I get this like almost like a pressure migraine headache feeling from it, but only when I move certain ways or do certain things. Damon says the 5th Doctor would get asked about his Doctor Who fandom all the time. Oh, that's true. Speaking of fandom, Aletha, my next Colossus video comes out tomorrow. and it has a bonus hidden Loki in there for you. You have to tell me if you find the Loki. I was surprised to find the Loki. I didn't even realize I had put a Loki in the video until I was rendering it out. And I was like, oh wait, that's Loki. That's funny. So I keep wanting to do this direction thing. I don't know if that's right or not. I do feel like having more areas without the sag in the middle, and then the sag kind of gets more intense near the bottom. That's right. That's reading correctly to me. And then, so these I'm just going to call them ribs, kind of disappear into the wrinkles down below. Yeah, Letha, he's sneaky like that. He snuck into a meme that I snuck into my video. Nasir! Hello! Yeah, you missed me Saturday. Sorry, I was making excuses about it before you got here. Has to do with hail and getting trapped in parking lots and working on a commission, which is a word that I now remember. I heard the door make a sound like someone came in, or didn't?
No one's there in the block.
Did John sneak out and close it quietly? Okay. Maybe it's a ghost. Is it windy out there?
Even when it's windy, it's not that bad usually. I mean, I have to push on it to make that sound.
Leith says, I think the sag on the sides and then more to the bottom look potentially good. Aletha, there might be a ghost in our house. Apparently there's a little kid that follows Heather around or something, but I've never seen this kid. But we do hear sounds.
It sounds like someone that commented who stayed with us December that it sounds like there's someone like, he asked like if we had it upstairs. It's like no.
Yeah, it does sound like people walking upstairs.
Yeah, it really, like it's not a little cracks, but little.
No, it's the because we have a brick wall on this side of our house, and this is kind of an older wooden, the rest of the house is wood. And I think the brick heats up during the day and then cools off at night, and so it's contracting and like pulling the beams from the roof. It's like because the temperature is always changing on it. Okay, fine, it's a ghost.
Yeah. But I don't care.
Heather doesn't care. Heather's closer to the believer end of the agnostic spectrum, but not on the believer end of the spectrum, if I understand it correctly. I am much more likely to look for scientifically plausible explanations for mysterious phenomenon. Heather is too, but she's more open to that it could be something else.
Except that it's just a could be, and that's where it goes.
Yeah, it stops at could be. It never goes to, oh my gosh, you gotta believe this. I've experienced it, I know it. It has to be true. Your oven's beeping, huh?
I know. It wasn't even warm. I mean, some of it was.
Nasir says, usually ghosts follow photographers because they trap their friends in the pics. Oh, haven't thought of that.
All those damn Disneyland trips. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Probably in the background.
Especially in the Haunted Mansion.
It was closed last time.
Oh. So these, like, these kind of lines have to resolve somewhere. Like, it doesn't make sense that there'd be a stretch of skin between these two ribs and then nothing there. I don't think that would make sense. But it can be considerably less and then just kind of dissipate. That seems to work. So these are kind of flowing out from here. I guess I would say it has to be coming from up, right? Because from higher, because it's sagging down as it goes. Kind of like it coming from the shoulder blades. But it can be anchored all along the spine, really. Just the more anchors that a piece of flesh has, the less it's going to sag. Here says, Josh wanted to ask you, can Scolla articulate his head or is his neck fixed? I think you're saying. So I want him to have the head articulation of a owl or a turtle, somewhere between there. Very flexible. He should be able to look all around, up, down, back and forth, straight behind him as if he needs to. I just got to a scene in the book where I'm going through an editing pass on the second one, just making notes for all the illustrations I need to make. And there's this really awesome scene where Beaumark ends up meeting Scolla's parents, and it's a big kind of social gathering for the spitters to come see the trained human. It's a pretty hilarious scene. Louis says, have you thought of putting detail like battle scars on him? Yeah, he actually ends up with a pretty good, well, he gets a little scar on his neck and a pretty big slice on his ear, I think in book 3. Not sure if I'm illustrating him at any particular point along the journey. I guess for the first book, I made Beaumark have all his scars he's going to get all the way through the trilogy, which is like kind of minor spoilers, but it's also, I mean, it's not like you could intuit huge plot points, except boy, this guy's been through a lot. And I keep wanting to make these little these U-shaped guys, but then I don't know how to, do they just keep doing that? Because that doesn't seem right. Do more of my usual look at stuff, try to remember what I've learned from reference. It's open with photos. I'm going to turn this upside down. Now, I don't want to save anything. I'm just thinking these these wrinkles right here are kind of similar to what's going on. So when they come down, they kind of do a Y-shaped thing. Yeah, I had to set my alarm. I forgot to bring in my protein powder for my workout. Here is something really interesting, and God, why can't I tell this to open in this all the time? Okay, here's something super cool is here's a clear shape of a you know, muzzle. Here's the bottom of a cheekbone, and here's these wrinkles that kind of, you can see how it resolves into the bump there, and then kind of further back it's going towards it, but it's not completely resolved into it. This, I think, is probably a pretty good clue for how I want to approach the wrinkles between the forms. The forms being this rib cagey thing. So if I were to apply that in such a way that I could have it really heavy coming up to the anchor point here, and then just kind of fade away as it goes down. Yeah, I want to have some of these kind of a little bit of compression happening where the weight of one of the wrinkles is bearing down on another one. Where there's a little bit of a pinch. And that's kind of okay. So there's kind of a roll going around here, but if I make the roll very uniform in width, I feel like that betrays the gravity a little bit. Maybe not. Like, I would expect this to kind of fade upward. At least that's what was working pretty well for me on the arms. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think that did help. I think I just needed to pull it. I needed to define this little chub roll better to begin with. And then I can taper as needed. This here says, Josh, since cleaners look the same, we want Scolla to look different and have a special appearance. So I thought of giving him a scar or a damaged ear, like a shredded ship sail. Yes, you intuited correctly. He does end up getting a slice. Can't remember which ear. One of them. I can't say how he gets it because that actually would be a spoiler. But yeah, he does get pretty good gash. That is not something a respectable cleaner should have to deal with. But he does. And that salmon smells like fish. I'm making broccoli when I make meatloaf. So. I have to find something to eat with my meatloaf besides chips. Chips are making me fat. Oh, they're so good though. And a meatloaf with potato chips, it's okay. So I hope if I just have a side of green on top of it, like I can eat a ton of broccoli and feel like I'm putting a lot of food into my mouth, because that's a big part of my emotional need for food. So if this roll is kind of going all the way over here, the fact that it kind of takes this semi-sudden downturn, I feel needs to be paid off with a little bit of a counter tug, where it splits off and does a minor Y shape. This here says, philosophical question. Since humans see animals from the same species look the same, do animals see humans the same way, unless it's your pet? I would guess so, although maybe most mammals have a superior sense of smell to us, so maybe the smell makes a significant difference to what two humans are perceived like. Okay, so now I've got this line, this line, this line. That's kind of fighting an organic look. Well, maybe it's only at that angle. Okay, one thing I was playing around with was varying the size and the intensity of these, where the skin's kind of getting tugged between the ridges. My big philosophical question about animals is, do they experience time differently based on their size? Because it seems like a lot of the super acrobatic, super fast pivoting and motion that small animals have is just like impossible if they didn't have like a slower time or perception of time than we do for decision making. You see squirrels jumping around from branch to branch, and like also while yelling at each other or avoiding predators or looking for food or whatever, and they're just crazy. And then like down to insects that are zigzagging so fast you can barely see them. It's like either they're completely out of control, which I doubt would serve their survival well, or they have just massively superior kind of spatial processing to humans, which also seems unlikely to me. I would also love to experience what it's like to have eyes on the sides of your head instead of going straight forward. Like, how do you perceive things both on your left and your right with one brain? What is that like? I mean, I guess you could set up mirrors and kind of to simulate that, come to think of it. Huh. I'll bet that's a thing. I'll bet that's a thing that some people have done, and I just haven't seen it. As here says, Scolla looks like a good piece of dates. Let's look at a date real quick. Because one thing I specifically keep trying to avoid is having them look like a California raisin, which is pretty much a date. Mm-hmm. Here's a date. The worst carb after age 50, apparently. Yeah, look at that. They also have ridges that go down like that. Interesting. I mean, he has similarities to certain fruit. That's not the worst thing in the world. I think specifically because California raisins are like an already established character. I already have problems where people are like, oh, he's a gremlin. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, there's similarities. Yeah, it's just annoying as an artist. I think I've said this before. I feel like more and more character and creature design is about finding any tiny scrap of land that hasn't been previously occupied by another character or creature. There's so many out there, and there's no signs of that slowing down. And I wonder at what point is it so saturated that it's just literally impossible to make something that doesn't look, 80 or 90% like something else. Well, something else that's well known. Leaf that says horses' brains are kind of split in a way, so if you teach them something on one side, you have to teach that same thing all over again on the other side. Really? I never heard that. That's super bizarre, but makes sense. I mean, humans' brains are split too. You've got, when the corpus callosum is cut, you can talk to one half of the body and, keep the other one ignorant to what you're telling it, the one side or the other, and you can have the sides disagree with each other and all sorts of crazy stuff. So,
Lisa, is that why you have to get up on the horse on that, is it the left side always? Because that's like a normal trainer thing?
Do you have to always get up on the left side?
I've always been
never heard that.
Not the left side, but it's one of the sides, I don't know. Huh. I don't know if it's just like
I mean, I imagine having a writer get on is probably something that is one of the first things they're taught.
So that's what I mean. Like maybe it's always a specific side, just so general knowledge thing.
Letha says, I think people are going to compare him to things no matter what you do. Yep, that is true. I'm afraid of making him... So, the problem with having skin stretched tight between a rib cage is that has very specific connotations to, like, either the undead or concentration camp victims or people with what is it? Anorexia. And I definitely don't want to evoke any of those things with this character. But I really love the idea of having these vertical stripes. So, I mean, it could be that if I just keep piling on the wrinkles over these ridges, they'll be still kind of subtly apparent. And maybe that's what it needs to be. Yeah, there have been times where people have looked at my art and said, it looks exactly like whatever. And I've been very upset by that. And then, this applies to driving as well. And then there have been times where I've looked at a friend's art and said, that looks exactly like, and I'm like, oh, I just did that thing that really hurt my feelings when it was done to me. I guess it's just like a natural human impulse, is pattern recognition, is there's a social dynamic of sharing the familiar that establishes a shared history. So, I mean, there's all sorts of psychological reasons that this impulse exists, and I am not immune from it, and I should not get angry or upset at people for having that impulse, especially when I have it. That applies to driving in that, like, you know, this jerk totally cut me off, and it's like, well, sometimes I completely by accident cut people off, or, you know, do some other bad bit of driving. I try hard not to, but everyone makes mistakes sometimes. Everyone's compromised by things in their life sometimes. That is why... No, not you. You're never compromised. Yeah, that's why I never... Well, very seldom. Sometimes, but very seldom will I yell at another driver, you know, you idiot!
I just get really good driving.
Yeah, Heather gives great driving advice to them.
But I always feel bad afterwards. What if?
Yeah, what if they were driving their pregnant wife to the hospital and she's like in labor, or what if they just got fired, or yeah, there's a million what ifs for why people could be compromised in some way that makes their driving bad. And you could always step back rashly and say, well, you shouldn't be driving then. But it's like, you know, okay. Technically, that's probably true. How many times have you or I been driving when we probably should not have? Sleepiness, man. Oh, I used to drive sleepy a lot. I don't do that anymore, as far as I know. But
I get sleepy like 10 minutes.
oh, that's true. Nasir says, I guess so, considering that flies live only 2 weeks, so they have to make it worth it, as far as animals perceiving time differently. Alethea said, oh, so the horse brain thing, and then there's the proper side to get on and off, yes. And if you don't train a horse to be okay with the other side, they might freak out. The left side is the proper side, but I make sure my horse is okay with both. Huh, interesting. I had also never heard that. It's going to be really hard. Like, Alethea started writing a short story for Talifar at one point, and it had to do with a character who was training horses. Horses are very rare on Talifar, and it was really cool, really interesting, and she didn't finish it and left me to finish it. Now I've got this character who has to train horses, and I know absolutely nothing about it, so I'm just going to be plugging her for horse facts. I'm just going to have her read these chapters like over and over and over and over. Nesser says, I mean, honestly, Josh, I stopped caring about being 100% original. If I like a design and I'm satisfied with it, then whatever. Yeah, to a certain degree. I made some like radical changes to Scolla at one point, where, because I was just so upset about people thinking he was a gremlin, I did, let me show you the basic thing that, like I gave him this big kind of ridge thing up like this, and what else did I, some other stuff, and I came back to it a year later or whatever and was like, no, that actually looks dumb. There's a reason there's so many characters that look like gremlins and Yodas and ETs and Stitches and etc. 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 and naked mole rats. No, there's not that many naked mole rat characters. Yeah. Oh, Guild Wars 2 already has naked mole rat people, so.
Right. Maybe I need to be throwing out some ideas towards Guild Wars.
Yeah. That's what we're lacking, is ideas. This says, I'm not seeing anorexic with those vertical ridges. Okay. Glad to hear that. Nasir says, Josh asked Heather what kind of photographs does she usually take? Portraits, landscapes, etc.
All.
All. She takes all photographs all the time. She mostly does...
on Instagram.
That's true. Are you just Heather Foreman?
No.
Of course not.
No, I think it's H Foreman 111
right.
on Instagram.
Go on Instagram and look under H Foreman 111.
Or, I mean, if you do Heather Foreman, it'll...
I think you'll find it.
Well, one of those options, that option should pop up. I do whatever I do. I don't really know.
Whatever her ADD brain focuses on and says, ooh, I like that.
I spent like hours on the floor in an office at our church with a giant keyboard on the ground going through all these signs or sounds, and then I needed to get up to try to like move, and so I got up and I went to the old chapel kind of looking area that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what it is, but anyways, it had the coolest lighting. It had the really crappy baby grand piano, but then the stage, it was gray, but then it had this purple lighting. It was so cool. It's way better than the normal church sanctuary. So I took pictures of that. I didn't edit it yet. I don't know if it's good. Probably not.
Aletha, you never told me the name of your book that's coming out and where people should look for it. Speaking of shout-outs to people's work. And then Aletha says, you should get your wife 2 gifts anyway. What? Oh, wait. I missed something. Aletha said, sorry, I'm a bad person, but you can ask me anytime about horse stuff. But beware, I might talk or write your ear off about them. And then said, you should get your wife 2 gifts anyway.
Like GIFs? I like gifts. Or
Gifts.
GIFTs.
Any memes.
I love gifts.
Heather
and
likes
memes.
most memes.
You know what he means. And puns.
Well, listen to what I say. Listen to what I mean.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm really liking what's going on here. This looks good. This like roll coming down and tucking under. That's cool. What time do we have? Okay, we're at 50 minutes. I'm gonna go about an hour tonight because I gotta cook food and stuff tonight, so I don't have a ton of time. Eric Soto says, memes are life, also currency. Big Thing 8 says, hey, nice to see you again. Hey, Big Thing, good to see you too. So this area here, I'm still seeing, I think I'm still seeing the vertical ones that I like, but I'm also getting plenty of chub rolls, which are important to me. Well, not chub rolls. I'm actually going specifically for skin rolls. He's not a fat character. He's just got lots of loose skin because he can inflate. Big Thing 8 says, you accept pictures of clay sculpture and tell me what I can do to make it better. I'm stuck horribly. Oh, stuck horribly.
Oh, I thought you were answering. I'm stuck horribly. Man, maybe they are in your brain.
Okay, Big Thing. This is the new policy that I designed, that I announced on my last video, which is I'm happy to answer a quick question or two. I get so many requests for it now that it's time consuming. So my compromise is this. I will absolutely happily give you a quick sentence or two of like, hey, here's the top thing I see that you could work on. If you want something more invested than that, like some back and forth and like show me multiple things and, you know, it's just more like real tutorializing or teaching stuff, do Patreon for me. Give me $1 a month, you know, and then I can feel like, okay, I'm investing in this. This time that I'm spending is investing in the future of the channel and everything. So that is my compromise. So feel free to send me anything at breathoflifeart@gmail.com. and I'll check it out and get back to you. Nasir says, my dream character is to create something as cute and simple as Kirby, yet so recognizable. Yeah, now that's a tough market. The essentially spherical character with eyes and a mouth, and then like little stub arms and legs. You've got your Hello Kitties, and you've got your obviously Kirby, and now I can't think of all the million other ones, but there are lots of them. I wonder if I do a little more pinching where the skin fold is in contact with the roll. I wonder if that's going to help me. Is that helping? Nasir says, now there's this new character from this new animated show called Final Space. Character's name is Moon Pie. Oh yeah, I think I saw Moon Cake. Yes, Moon Pie is, I think, a dessert snack. That's a really old one. Let's see what Moon Cake looks like. I think I saw, oh, not cakes. Oh, there's a Hello Kitty on a mooncake. There's a Big Hero 6 who is also similar. I don't know, man. Looks like you're lying. I don't see any characters named Mooncake. Maybe one word. Nope. Alright, it's officially confirmed. Now Sierra's a liar. Type in final space mooncake. There we go. Yeah, this is the ball with eyes and little Kirby feet. Sure enough. Yeah, also the birds and the pigs from Angry Birds are very similar to that. I'm sure there are many more. So I'm wondering if just picking out a roll or two of skin is really making that one more emphatic will help me get where I'm going. So it feels like if it sticks out that far, it needs to be tugging down more. What kind of character are you making, Big Thing? Oh, okay. I'm doing exactly the wrong thing. I'm building up more material here where it goes over the ridge. Actually, it should be doing the opposite. It should be getting pulled taut at that ridge. And should be doing more of the pillowy, bulgy folds between the ridges. Duh. That's just a little tricky to figure out then how this fold resolves as it, I guess it kind of spreads out as it goes over that anchor point. This here says, Josh, why Scolla needs so many wrinkles? I'm afraid that it would look like he's burned and these wrinkles are skin coming together. That is a valid concern. He's supposed to look like a wrinkled sack. I think burns tend to have, well, I can see how this is starting to look like Freddy Krueger's face a little bit. So I mean, I don't think his arms feel like burned. but it's these kind of weird little cavities that you're getting that are probably sending that message. And that's because you have two very different directions of flow, which, you know, that's my big idea, that's my big innovation of what is going to make this guy's body cool. But, you know, if what makes it cool also makes him look like a burn victim, then it wasn't such a great idea to begin with. So I appreciate feedback like that. Just going to kind of keep going this way and keep adding folds. Because, I mean, this guy doesn't look like a burn victim either, but he clearly looks like he's got a lot of skin folds. So I just need to... I think if I keep at it, I'll get to that point. Nancy, are you on Instagram? Heather's asking. Nancy also says his arms are perfect. Yeah, I really like the arms, and I'm hoping that I'm able to capture whatever magic they have and apply them to the body. And it's quite possible that these vertical elements are what's keeping it from working. And if I just kind of fill in those divots a little better, that's gonna, which I guess is the equivalent of not pulling these ribs out so far. I think maybe what I did when I first pulled these vertical stripes out, I pulled them out really far because in my mind I wanted them to be a very apparent feature of him, but I am not willing to give up on the wrinkly skin folds, and so those two elements may just not work together well. They may give the impression of something that I don't want, you know, akin to a burn victim or a Auschwitz survivor or etc., etc. I don't like the idea of making this kind of central ridge down his belly give it some sort of interesting features. I don't know what yet, but actually, if this central ridge is kind of a clearly prominent ridge, the others can really fade back into obscurity, into mostly obscurity, and I probably have my best of both worlds of what I'm looking for. Which actually I think a big part of what I'm looking for is for his underlying physiology to match the surface physiology, which he's going to have these rows of quills And so I wanted those to kind of be seated in these little valleys. And the reason I wanted to do that was because on previous sculptures I've done of him, I really didn't like how they were just randomly distributed. Which isn't to say that I can't put them in lines without having, you know, a rib cage that also follows that. I think I just like the idea because I don't think I've seen it before, or if I have seen it before, I've forgotten about it. That's more usually the case, you know, when you have a massive reference file and, you know, you look at other ZBrush artists creating, you know, I'm sure I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of creature concepts at this point in my life, so there's no way I could ever remember them all explicitly. Letha says, I think keep going with it and see what happens. Nasir says, Josh, you mentioned a valid point. If the wrinkles were in the direction as the vertical lines, it would look better, I think. Yeah. If they're hanging straight down like this, though, then you get like that's kind of how I was originally doing some of them. What was I running into? I was running into trouble with defining the anchor points because it basically looks like a curtain, like decorative curtains. And I just couldn't find a good way to make it look natural. This, I think I'm kind of heading in the right direction with like 80 to 90% horizontal rolls, you know, skin roll feeling with just the subtlest hint of these vertical lines. I think that can capture what I like about his the rolls on his arms, and also the way they kind of resolve up into a more kind of structured anatomy at the top. I think having them all roly-polies down here, resolving into anatomical definition near the top, is just, it's a good theme. Works well for him, I think. Nasir says, the wrinkles don't have to fill the whole space, just give him tiny wrinkles in between and in the middle, only not going all the way up and down. Oh, okay, yeah, like, although that does get more date and raisin-like, I think. I think you'd have to show me an example of what you mean for me to really get it, but anyway, it's been over an hour, and I think I've got a direction that I can start on a good footing and develop further next time. Yeah. Okay, so before I go, I'm going to show you guys real quick this cool thing I did. So on my website, we have this problem where we couldn't figure out how to make it seem intuitive how to get to stuff. So for instance, if you go to my art, you go to art, Josh Foreman, right? Like, you get to all the stuff over here on the right, but there was no way to really know that, and so I made these buttons that I'm very proud of, where you can just click on the sculpture button, you know, the art, and it's pretty clear, okay, this takes me to art. See, here's the previous version of Scolla that I've been iterating on for, gosh, this guy's probably over 10 years old now. Yeah, and then I also, under the Tales from Talifar one, oh, look at that fun pop-up. Makes me want to subscribe to that newsletter. So on the sentient species page, I also, did I actually click it? I did, okay. Oh, my son's on the internet, so things are slow. Yeah, aren't they cool buttons, Aletha? So yeah, here we go. Look at this. Here's all my guys. Some of them are still lacking concepts, but they give you a pretty good idea. Like, oh, you want to learn more about Scolla? Click on the spitters button. Yay! I need to fix this this little pop-up to not come up on every page. But yeah, then you could read about their physical, their social, their history, get all the stuff, comment on them. Look at here. Here's a comment from Nasir, or my favorite guest. Yeah, so anyway, check out my website now that I have cool new buttons. And yeah, I'll see you guys not this weekend unless you're going to be at Emerald City Comic Con, in which case stop by the booth. We're going to be in the Sky Bridge. I'm going to be there, let's see, Saturday from 2 to 4 and Sunday from noon to 2. Pretty sure those are the hours. And you know, I'll sign your bra or something. And then I'll be back next Wednesday doing more of this. I've got a new video coming out tomorrow. It's more Shadow of the Colossus. Because I got this big commission, I can't really make videos because all my video recording time is going towards recording that commission thing, but I'm not allowed to talk about it until it ships. So there's going to be more Colossus videos in the meantime. Anyway, I really like this one. This Colossus one that's coming out, it's over an hour long, and it probably has the most progress from like where I start at the beginning of the video to where it ends of any of my videos so far. And it's got cool music too. One of my former co-workers, Lena Rain, let me use her like awesome. She's like classically trained, like gorgeous piano instrumental stuff, and it's cool. So yeah, don't be jealous, hon. Actually, your piano music is in there too. There's a big mix of stuff. So yeah, check it all out, guys, and I'll see you in a week. Yeah, bye guys.